And what about this phrase? Okay, 15 million or more people recently heard Ted Danson proclaim his love of fish on Earth Day and every day since, and yet he eats them. No offense to Mr. Danson, please, but for him and 97% of all other individuals in the world, this phrase, I love fish, actually means this. I love to eat fish, doesn't it? That's what he really means. I mean, if he loved fish, as in loving his cat or his dog, he certainly wouldn't kill and eat them, would he? No, I don't think so. Again, it's how we use our words, isn't it? So let's take a proper and more accurate look at our oceans. Fish, as well as dairy, are always the last stronghold someone has as they move away from eating animals. We all need to know that. And it's easy to see why, because both are pretty far out of sight, and they just end up on your plate somehow, sort of mysteriously. Well, incredibly large amounts of sea life are taken from our oceans in three ways. First, they're taken as target fish, the one you want to eat. Next, they're also taken out of our oceans to feed other fish grown on factory fish farms, part of the aquaculture movement. And lastly, fish are taken as bykill due to the first two types of fishing. Oh my goodness, well, that doesn't leave too much in our oceans, does it? In fact, our oceans are being ravaged, and yet everyone we know still eats fish. Fragile, interdependent, and poorly understood ecosystems have been devastated. 106 million tons of fish were caught in 2009, with quite a few more hundreds of millions of tons of bykill, which are all those other innocent sea life caught and killed and discarded in the process of trying to catch that targeted fish everyone's asking for. Bykill includes juvenile fish, they'll never see their way to maturity, all seven of the endangered sea turtles, sea lions, birds, dolphins, even whales. I mean, come on, is that really worth it? I mean, that's embarrassing. Of the 17 major fishing stock areas in the world, all of them are either overexploited or on the verge of collapse. 80% of the world's fish species are affected, considered heavily depleted from overfishing practices. Well, that's quite a bit of damage, but along comes the word sustainable to justify continued harvesting. We can stamp that word now on anything, and then we can continue in the take mode, and we can feel good about it. Why? Well, because it's sustainable. And, I mean, how's that word even used in the fishing industry? I mean, who defines it, who monitors it, and who decides on enforcement? And if you look at this carefully, or even not so carefully, the real answer is no one. And I say real answer because now there's sea life caught and labeled sustainable when in fact it's not. But it's still labeled as such by a number of highly respected organizations, such as the Marine Stewardship Council and others. And there are many, many examples we could talk about. Tuna, cod, pollock, haddock, salmon, krill. The Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch has lobster from the Gulf of Maine, both Canada and U.S. waters, listed as a good alternative. It's not. It's not a good alternative for many reasons. Rapidly declining number of lobster, inefficient trapping mechanisms, and most importantly is what I think is the very sad effect lobster trapping has on the endangered North Atlantic right whale. There are only 325 of these magnificent creatures left that we haven't killed. And nearly all of them, 75% of them or more, are getting entangled and injured in those darn trap lines. We owe these whales much more than this. And the same is true with everything on this list. All are considered and labeled sustainable, but none of them really are, and the list goes on and on and on. Cod were fished only 1% of their original numbers off the coast of Newfoundland and to near extinct status in the North Sea. Cod are now bykill. I mean, who would have thought of that? Sure, cod enjoy swimming with other fish, like haddock and pollock, that are being harvested heavily. In 2007, researchers realized that cod bykill totaled more than 50,000 tons per year, which happens to be double their quota amount. So they were killing and throwing overboard twice as many cod as bykill than what was allowed by going after cod itself. It's pretty much a mess. In the case of hoki, the new great white fish used by McDonald's in their fish sandwich, now because we've decimated the cod species, which used to be everyone's favorite fish sandwich. You know, when you run out of one fish, what do? Well, you just go after the next one. But catching hoki causes significant trawling damage, obvious loss of their own numbers. They keep dropping the quota amount, and the killing of thousands and thousands of seabirds and sea lions each year. So why are they calling that sustainable? Just a moment. Someone would like to say something to you. All eyes on the screen, please. I love that movie. It's a shame that no one really listened to its message. The endangered western stellar sea lion in the Aleutian Islands lost over 50% of its already endangered population just in the last couple of years, since 2003, because of fishing operations there that were considered sustainable when in reality it took away the food supply of the very few endangered sea lions that are left. I mean, Happy Feet knows all about this. Why can't we get it figured out? We're even killing and eating the intelligent, talented octopus, which is considered sustainable, especially if it's from Japan. Yeah, octopus can be found at Whole Foods, considered our gold standard, everywhere. Why are we eating octopus? I mean, we don't even understand them. Quite beautiful, aren't they? They really are. Okay, well, and everyone in the world knows about bluefin tuna, right? Yeah, so why do I have to say anything about it? Well, let's see. Their numbers have dropped by 92%. They are already extinct in the Black and Caspian Seas, predicted to become extinct in the Mediterranean region by the end of next year, just 2012. Well, we still kill and eat them. And we still kill and eat other fish that impact them. Well, why is that? The ruling to not grant an endangered status to bluefin tuna was made just a few months ago in May. And it was based primarily on interviews of the tuna fishing industry itself, asking bluefin tuna fishermen, these guys right here, asking them a series of questions to see what they think about taking away their income, their food, and what they like to do for fun on weekends. That was brilliant. That was a brilliant idea. Hence, no endangered status for bluefin tuna. What's the most abundant animal species on Earth? Well, that's a clue. Krill. Yeah, krill. Very good. A very cute 6-centimeter long invertebrate. They feed on phytoplankton, and they're a very important part of the oceanic food cycle. But krill numbers have dropped by 78% since 1980, in turn affecting the decline of certain penguin species. However, the quota for killing krill has been placed at 1.5 million tons per year. But krill are also eaten by baleen whales, such as blue, right, and fin, who are desperately trying to make a comeback. Since there are hundreds of thousands less of these great whales due to us slaughtering them all off over the last 200 years, the fishing industry feels there should be more krill for us to eat. Coral reefs are in serious trouble. Most would think it's due to pollution and climate change, right? But the primary cause of coral reef death throughout the entire Caribbean region, anyway, is not pollution and it's not climate change. It's from overfishing. And Alaskan pollock have been harvested at a rate of 3 million tons per year, and it's still labeled as sustainable. I mean, who would think you could take 3 million tons of any species from anywhere and think they wouldn't be missed? So here's the point regarding our oceans. It's no longer a problem about overfishing. No, not at all. It's about fishing. What we need is complete and immediate restoration of all oceanic ecosystems back to a balanced state where pluses and minuses occur naturally, not controlled and manipulated by our wants or by an organization such as MSC that are influenced by money, which they all are. We want to eat lobster or Alaskan pollock, so therefore they're sustainable. Well, no worries. Nope, not to worry, because now we have fish farms. 47% of all fish consumed worldwide are produced from aquaculture, which is growing faster than any other food sector. And one reason for this tremendous growth is the very false illusion of environmentalism. I mean, here we have another interesting idea where fish are caught in our already ravaged oceans to feed fish produced on factory fish farms, sometimes at a ratio of 20 to 1, in the form of fish, fish meal, and fish oil. And by the way, I can assure you that it's a very, very far cry from being humane.